Okay, let me give you a couple tips while you're soldering connectors. When I solder bullet connectors, I use a piece of board that I've drilled different size holes in that the bullet connector fits right in. The wood doesn't transfer any heat, so it doesn't suck any heat away from the bullet connector. It also holds the bullet connector up at the perfect height so that you can put the wire down in it, let it cool, and pull it out without marring your mat or your soldering iron. Soldering iron, speaking of soldering irons, really quick while it's heating up. Make sure the tip is nice and clean and shiny. Grab some plumber's tape, sandpaper, or a nice Brillo pad and shine up that tip. Make the solder flow really smooth. Now we made our marks on our speed controllers, and we're going to replicate this times all four. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these off. I'm going to save the silicone wire because you never know when you're going to need a little tiny piece of silicone wire. And we're going to strip these out. So now that I got my soldering iron, I'm going to tin the end of these connectors. I'm only going to put enough solder on the end so that it gets through all the braids of the wire so you have a nice solid connection. Then I'm going to fill the pocket just so there's a nice little pool in there, just barely up to the top. Now make sure it's hot, make sure the speed controller is there. Wait for the solder to wick up the wire, give it a second to cool, and pull it off. You want to make sure that the wire sucks into the solder. You want a great connection between the bullet connector and the solder and the wire. Now if you have bullet connectors that spin around, you might want to drop a piece of solder in them so that they don't spin anymore. That's the source of a lot of loose connections on ESCs. There you go. Got the connections on. Put the shrink wrap on. You're good to go. One speed controller done.